His eyes, they're gone.
But my ears are just fine, stranger.
Strangeland is a point-and-click psychological horror game where you follow a stranger on a surreal adventure to try and make sense in a seemingly senseless land. The game is available on PC. Atmosphere. Strangeland is a deeply surreal and nightmarish experience, and the scenery around you reflects that, with floating islands and a bleak yet twisted carnival that contains horrors that seem to come from an equally twisted mind. The pixel art imagery is fantastic. The atmosphere is that of inescapable nightmare, with events you can't prevent and things that fail to make any sense. It has you constantly asking yourself if any of it is really happening. There's so many questions to be raised, but none of the characters really have any answers, and it feels like a lot of them are tormenting you for not knowing. In a really unique way, it feels that you're the only true bad guy, as your efforts to make progress in a point-and-click logic environment is doing more harm to those around you than anything else. In an effort to find answers, you're making it worse. By the halfway point, it's hard not to feel a sense of guilt for things that you had to do to progress, as well as your inability to achieve your goals. The world feels lost, but not hopeless, with your character's determination shining above all else, even against things that neither you nor them understand.
A fool gets a box. He knows he should know, but he opens it anyway. All the horrors of the world come pouring out. Disease and death, loss and loneliness, revulsion and regret. Fool falls to the ground, trembling with fear. Says to himself, at least there's hope at the bottom. Then a phone rings, and a voice on the other end says, what bottom?
Hello? Hello?
What bottom?
The framing of some things feel almost poetic, with monsters in cages high above and muses that have a lot to say but reveal nothing. But there's a sense of beauty in some scenes and a touch of the magnificent as the unreal meets the fantastical, and your hapless, helpless character seems to conquer the insanity of the world around them for a while in some truly mesmerizing scenes. But the second half of the game presents a haunting and even darker version of the carnival akin to H.R. Geiger's artworks, and the guilt reaches an all-time high as it reminds you over and over again of what you've done. But nearly all the way through, Strangeland has a way of making you feel as though you've done something wrong. That's one Harry Mason.
Did I not warn you? Tell you to keep to the shadows, not to look backward or inward, and thus to hide from the dark thing. But you took my shadows, made me look back to my past, and made me see inside Rota again. You killed me, and now I weep no more.
Scares. As a psychological horror game, most of the scares are in the form of the feeling of guilt that increases as time goes on, the never-ending feeling that you're responsible, and some of the things the characters say to you are hurtful towards your actions. The game doesn't contain any jump scares, and it doesn't really need any. There's a few cutscenes that are unnerving to watch, but that's as deep as it goes. The game isn't that long, and whilst presenting some unpleasant scenes, it doesn't really go that deep into psychological horror. That's still one Harry Mason.
I am Murmur the Magnificent, great giver of counsel. What was, what is, and what will be are all mine to draw from the deck of your life. For what you've paid, we may speak of cards, and hear what suits the fates. What would you know?
past.
I will tell you the figures. You will tell me the cards. And they will show us their truth. Let us begin. I see you, Querent. What card do you make of the man you were?
The Hanged Man.
Ever wanting wisdom, never knowing where to find it, stuck in time as a sacrifice to himself. A fitting choice.
Sound design. The music tracks vary from monotonous organs that reminds you of the carnival theme to grand and glorious but twisted drones like the piece that plays as Murmur the Magnificent reads your fortune. There's a large variety of tracks that fit every moment, but only a few of them really stand out due to what they happen to be backing. The sound effects are appropriate but a little unremarkable. Where the game really shines is how all of it comes together with the voice acting, which is phenomenal. Again, moments like Murmur the Magnificent reading your fortune are so fantastical because of the sound design with his aged and wise voice cutting just above the dramatic music tracks and it all winding down after he's finished, and it's a real spectacle because of it. The game has several moments where all the sound design comes together to present some truly magical moments. The sound space is practically perfect and the directional audio isn't hugely necessary but implemented anyway. The sound design is incredible when combined, even if its individual parts don't mean much on their own. That's 2 Harry Masons. Gore. There's some strange and unpleasant cutscenes where the woman the main character is trying to save before some H.R. Geiger nightmarish scenes, and anything involving the teratoma is deeply unpleasant due to its appearance. The game didn't really need much in the way of gore, and all of it feels odd, but never out of place. That's 3 Harry Masons.
Well, it's out.
Story. Strangeland begins abruptly and explains very little. The player character, whose name is never revealed, wanders into the carnival, and after watching a woman jump down a well, vows to save her.
Goodbye, my love.
She's gone.
Not gone, Querent. Nearly dead. Again and again she comes to this well, to weep and leap at the sound of the shriek. Which of you will save the other?
The game never really explains specific things, and a lot of it is up to interpretation, especially character motivations. Some feel as though they clearly mean things or represent parts of the player character's psyche, but it's unclear if that's really the case. It does feel as though you're being messed with for a large portion of the game. The game is mysterious all the way to the end, with the solution to its biggest puzzle remaining a mystery. The most special thing about the game is that it does feel as though it's telling a grand story about identity. It dives into philosophy, and characters toy with the idea of the self and act as though they know everything but want you to figure it out for yourself. It shows you mirrors and asks you about you, but you can never reveal because you don't know. The story is thought-provoking, but it's not hard to see why some will undoubtedly leave frustrated, as the game's conclusions leave much to be desired. The ending is a little abrupt. That being said, even when everyone's talking in riddles and waxing poetic with people retorting to philosophy with more philosophy, the game was still a mesmerizing treat to play, making the final score 4 out of 5 Harry Masons. Strangeland is a truly mysterious game, and whilst it feels like it's so obvious what it was really about, there's always room for doubts. I really enjoy playing this and wait eagerly for the next game Wormwood Studios make. Again, I'd like to remind you the whole thing is down to my opinion in horror games, and if you don't share this opinion, then that's cool, I get it. I'd like to point out that whilst I never wanted to touch the teratoma, I did not lose my mind and advise you don't either. There'll be more horror reviews in the pipeline, and thanks for watching. Let's go check out Bumps in the Middle of the Night. Peace.